Here is a small fact. You are going to die. I am, in my own way, a truth. But before we get to that, let me tell you about the colors. I see them first. Before anything else, the sky is a canvas, painted with the story of a life just before I arrive. I have seen countless shades, from the softest whites to the deepest, most bruised purples. The colors help me cope with the human beings I must collect, the ones who leave such a mess behind. It was the colors that first led me to her, to the book thief. I saw her 3 times, and each time the sky was a different, unforgettable masterpiece. White, black, and finally a bruised and bleeding red. Her name was Liesel Meminger, and her story is one I cannot forget. It is not a grand epic, but a quiet tale of survival in a world determined to crush the human spirit. It takes place in Nazi Germany, a time and place saturated with the colors of sorrow and destruction. But even there, in a town called Mulching, on a street named Himmel, Heaven, a small girl found a way to live, to love, and to steal back a piece of the world for herself, one book at a time. I have seen millions of stories unfold, but Liesel's is different. She found life where there was only supposed to be an ending. And so, I want to tell you her story, just as I saw it, painted in the colors of her world. Liesel's journey begins with loss. On a cold train ride through the German countryside, her younger brother died quietly beside her. The sky that day was a blinding, unforgiving white. At his graveside, Liesel stole her first book, The Gravedigger's Handbook. She couldn't read it, but it was a piece of her brother, a memory she clung to. This small act of theft was the beginning of everything. Her new home was on Himmel Street with foster parents Hans and Rosa Huberman. Rosa's love was hidden beneath gruff commands and curses, but Hans was gentle, with silver eyes and an accordion that filled their house with warmth. Liesel was haunted by nightmares, waking up screaming in the dark. Hans would sit with her until the fear subsided, his presence a quiet comfort. He was patient and kind, the steady hand that would guide her. On Himmel Street, amidst poverty and the growing fear of the Nazi regime, Liesel began to build a new life. The book she stole became her first treasure, a connection to a world of words she desperately needed. Hans saw the fear in her eyes and offered her safety. In that small house, Liesel Meminger started over. Liesel's inability to read was a source of deep shame. At school, she was an outcast, ridiculed by classmates and frustrated by the jumble of letters. The world was speaking a language she couldn't understand. But in the quiet stillness of the basement, after nightmares woke her, Hans began to teach her the alphabet. He painted letters on sandpaper, his rough hands gentle as he guided her. Their classroom was the basement, their chalkboard the painted walls. Each new word was a victory, a small piece of the world she could finally claim. Hans's patience was endless, making learning a game, a shared secret between them. This midnight education forged an unbreakable bond. Hans gave her not just words, but safety, and the understanding that she was seen and valued. The simple act of reading became an act of defiance against the silence and fear that surrounded them. No story of Liesel Meminger would be complete without Rudi Steiner. He was the boy next door, with hair the color of lemons and a spirit that refused to be broken. Their friendship was forged on the streets of Mulching, a partnership in small crimes and everyday survival. They stole apples from orchards, not out of malice, but out of hunger. A taste of freedom in a world that took so much. Rudi gave Liesel her nickname, the Book Thief. He was with her the day she stole her second book from the ashes of a Nazi book burning. With Rudi as her lookout, she snatched the shoulder shrug from the pile of ashes, a secret treasure saved from the fire. Their bond was a lifeline, a testament to the enduring power of friendship in the most trying of times. Together, they found moments of light and laughter in the encroaching darkness. The book burning and mulching was a spectacle of organized hatred. For Liesel, watching stories turn to ash was a brutal lesson in how words could be feared and destroyed. At the burning, she was seen by Ilse Hermann, the mayor's wife, who later invited Liesel into her home. There, Liesel discovered a magnificent library, a sanctuary filled with endless possibilities. Ilse left the window open, a silent invitation for Liesel to lose herself in the words. The library became a quiet rebellion, a place where knowledge was celebrated, not burned. When Rosa lost her laundry job with the Hermans, Liesel felt betrayed and began to steal books from the library. Even in theft, there was understanding. Ilse seemed to know, leaving dictionaries and cookies for the young thief. The library remained a complicated, beautiful part of Liesel's soul. It was a place of solace and rebellion, where she could escape the world outside. In those pages, Liesel found hope and courage. The words she stole became her armor. The arrival of Max Vandenberg changed everything. He was a Jew, the son of the man who had saved Hans Hubermann's life in the First World War. Hiding Max in Nazi Germany was a death sentence, but Hans had made a promise. Max's world shrank to the Hubermann's cold, damp basement. Liesel was wary at first, but slowly, a powerful friendship blossomed. They bonded over shared nightmares and a love for words. Liesel read to Max, bringing him stories from the outside world. For her 13th birthday, Max gave Liesel a gift, The Standover Man, a story painted over the pages of Mein Kampf. It was a profound act of love and resistance, reclaiming even the most hateful of things. Their friendship was a testament to the power of human connection. Life with Max in the basement was a constant tension. Every knock on the door brought fear, but the Hubermans shared what little they had. One day, Hans gave bread to a Jewish prisoner marched through mulching. For this act of kindness, he was whipped in the street and branded a Jew lover. The safety of their basement was compromised. Max had to leave. The farewell was agonizing. Liesel lost a brother, and the silence he left behind was deafening. As punishment, Hans was conscripted into the German army. Himmel Street felt emptier than ever. Rosa and Liesel clung to each other for support. During air raids, Liesel read to her neighbors in the bomb shelter, her voice a steady anchor in the darkness. The words she learned in the basement became a source of comfort for her community. Even as the war closed in, Liesel's stories offered hope. The power of kindness and words endure, even in the darkest time. Their small acts of humanity became their greatest resistance. Time passed and the war raged on. Hans returned home after being injured, bringing brief relief. One day, another parade of Jewish prisoners passed through mulching. Liesel saw Max among them, thinner, weaker, but alive. She broke through the crowd to reach him, but they were brutally torn apart. The end of Himmel Street came without warning. The air raid sirens failed, and bombs fell silently. Liesel, in the basement, survived. The world she knew was obliterated. She found the bodies of her papa, mama, and Rudy, her best friend, finally giving him the kiss he always wanted. I arrived then to collect the souls of Himmel Street, and saw the girl kneeling in the rubble, clutching her book. Liesel was taken in by the mayor and his wife. After the war, Max returned, and they reunited in tears. Liesel eventually moved to Australia, married, and had a family. When I finally came for her, I showed her the book she had written in the basement, the one I had saved from the rubble. As I carried her away, I confessed my one great secret. I am haunted by humans, and that is the story of the book thief.